Thank you. Kia ora, members of the House Select Committee. My name is Donna Pokere-Phillips. I take my written submission as read, and I will highlight why this bill is dangerous and must be rejected. What happens when the government allows genetic modifications to be released into our food, our medicine, and our environment without oversight, without consultation, and without our consent? The bill removes transparency, erases protections, and hands control to corporations. It takes away our right to know what we are eating, what is being tested in our environment, and what risks we are being exposed to. Regulators have repeatedly failed to protect the public from safe technologies. Asbestos, declared safe, now linked to fatal respiratory illnesses. Thalidomide, given to pregnant women, causing severe birth defects. Oxycontin, marketed as low risk, fueling the opioid crisis and killing hundreds of thousands of people. Contaminated polio vaccine infected millions with a cancer-causing virus. COVID-19 vaccine rushed under emergency authorization, bypassing long-term safety studies, leading to unforeseen health impacts and deaths. Now, with genetic modification, are we making the same mistake? Once GMO species are released, they cannot be recalled. Cross-pollination and unintended mutations will have catastrophic consequences. Corporations like Monsanto, now Bayer, patent GMO seeds, enforcing strict contractual agreements that prevent farmers from saving and replanting seeds. These patents force dependency on corporate-controlled seeds, increasing costs and limiting farmer autonomy. Control the seeds, control the food, control the food, control the people. Organic farmers face lawsuits. Monsanto has sued over 140 for accidental contamination. E ki rā. This bill strips Māori of the right to protect our whenua and our whakapapa and violates fundamental protections under Te Tiriti o Waitangi, undermining Māori self-determination. New Zealand Bill of Rights Act, removing informed consent and the right to refuse unwanted interventions. International human rights law, violating principles of environmental sovereignty and indigenous rights. Māori a kaitiaki, our connection to the whenua, our awa, our maunga is part of our whakapapa. Let me be very clear, the government is declaring war on our whakapapa, and I find this unconscionable. The bill removes the right to know, allows changes without consent, and gives more power to the biotech corporations, while keeping the public in the dark. Without labelling, the risks are too high. No right to know. Consumers will lose transparency about whether their food, their medicine or environment contains GMOs. Changes without consent. The government can alter labelling laws without public input, forcing genetic modifications on the public. Biotech control. Corporations gain unchecked power while Māori and local communities lose their ability to reject or regulate GMOs. This is a breach of Te Tiriti o Waitangi, the New Zealand Bill of Rights, and the International Human Rights Law. It is a deliberate suppression of information and forced compliance on genetic modification without public consent. This bill is reckless and it's dangerous. You represent us, not corporations, not globalists, but New Zealanders. I urge the committee to restore local decision-making powers over GMOs, ensure communities and councils can determine what's happening in their own region, reject the gene technology bill in its entirety, require full consultation with Māori local councils and the wider community, ensure any future genetic technology proposals undergo independent scientific review, free from corporate and political influence. Do you want to be responsible for a GMO outbreak? If this bill is passed, how will you answer when future generations ask, why did you let this happen? This is our whānau line in the sand, and we say no to this bill. A government that removes transparency, forces compliance, and hands unchecked power to corporations is not democratic. It is tyrannical. This bill is the foundation of corporate fascism, and we will not stand for it. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Donna. Thank you. Thanks for your comments there. I must say, yes, we do represent the people, not the globalists.
That's not what your bill says.
This isn't intended to. Hold on. Look, you made a comment there about how Monsanto doesn't allow farmers to collect their seeds or use their seeds. That's definitely not what this bill's intention is. If organics or whoever it may be wants to continue doing as they do, we're not going to hand those powers over to corporations.
Well, at the moment, you're letting the genie out of and there's no calling back.
It's a big accusation to make, though, and it's certainly not what.
Well, I hold to that. Look at COVID. Look at COVID-19. Look at COVID-19. My father died of that vaccine, so yeah, I understand what gene technology can do. It kills.
Yeah, and you can direct those criticisms at Jacinda Ardern and the Labor government. But very good to have you here, Donna. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that sounded like
that was dirty play, sending it over to Jacinda and the previous government, because the national government would have been exactly the same.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Well, not exactly the same. Probably worse.
Well, yes, they were even considering making vaccines compulsory for everybody, not just certain.
Yeah, and also like say, oh no, you can't have working for families if you don't sit there and vaccinate your kids.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that.
That was really dirty, and I actually did a little section in my written submission And one of the things I had is the bill will result in what can be considered biocolonialism, where organisms are owned. And that is quite a concern, really. I also had incorporation of Maori values. There is a tapu nature around seeds. There's growing recognition that incorporating Maori values in national regulation is key to a more balanced integration of biotechnologies in both cultural and socially economic contexts. The bill will not fully meet Maori aspirations for partnership in decision making and protection of their rights and interests under the Treaty of Waitangi. So, I put a few other things in there, but we're probably running out of time, are we?
2 minutes.
And of course she mentioned asbestos and thalidomide, and I mentioned a few things in my like microorganisms and stuff in my oral submission. And she mentioned patents. Now, there have been huge numbers of Indian farmers who have committed suicide because they bought into the GE story. They bought the GE seeds and the GE chemicals, and then when they ran out of money, they couldn't grow crops because the cotton they were growing cotton could only be, now how do you put this, given the seeds didn't reproduce, so they couldn't use seeds from the previous year. And apparently vast numbers of them have committed suicide by drinking the chemicals that were supposed to go on the plants. Absolutely tragic. So GE isn't a success. It's just that we have business pushing to make money out of something, and this is something that they think they can make money out of.
Oh, thank you for joining us for the first hour again, and providing your knowledge and expertise and your ability to recap things at super high rates. It feels like if we haven't got Laura here this week, we'll get Lisa to jump in.
Oh dear. Well, yes, if it was on a topic I didn't know anything about, it might be more difficult.
Okay, well, was it take over a quick break, and we'll be back for the next hour with Soraya.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. Who's got the Order Paper Podcast? YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. Who's got the Order Paper